in at number 1, you guys probably guessed it, but it is an ARC Trooper 5s and Echo. The number 1 spot, you already know it if you watch my channel enough. It's 5s. If you guys watch any of my top 10 lists, number 1 is always 5s.
Coming in the number 1 spot, I'm going to give it to ARC Trooper 5. That's why, as of today, we are starting a movement. We are starting hashtag Make TBS5s.
And then coming in at number 1, I thought this one's pretty obvious. If you guys know me at all, you know I picked 5. For the photos, Black Series 5s has been officially revealed. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukeness Monster, and today we're going to be reviewing the Star Wars The Black Series ARC Trooper 5s. It is about dang time we got this figure in the line. We've been asking for it for years. It won the fan vote on my channel for my March Madness bracket back in 2021, so 2 years ago, and we finally got it in the line. We even started the hashtag MakeTBS5s here on the Lukeness Monster channel, and we finally have this figure here in the line. So, taking a close look at the box, this is plastic-free packaging, which is a little unfortunate, but I do like the nice glossy effect they added to some of the different, like, the cutout of the character here, as well as the Black Series logo. Looks really nice. We do have this amazing mural artwork of 5s here. I absolutely love how that turned out. Looks great, and it does look like we can see maybe a little bit of Camino or something else here on, oh no, this is actually part of the Citadel, I believe, up here in the artwork, which is nice. But anyway, flipping around to the back, we do have that same 3D render on the back, as well as the bio for 5s, mentioning Domino Squad on Camino. Pretty cool. Rishi Moon, and as well as kind of his kind of plot to uncover the secret Order 66 chips as well. So they really covered everything in 5's bio here, which is nice. But it is number 16 in the Clone Wars line, and we do have... The only good part about plastic repackage, in my opinion, is this here. I absolutely love this little diagram of what they show on the side of the box. It's really cool, and I wish they would keep that on some of the newer boxes. But overall, interesting box. Let's go ahead, get them out of the box, and take a closer look at everything this figure comes with. Anyway, we have 5s out of the box, and I gotta say, I love this figure so much. I mean, this is a figure that we created. Hashtag MakeTBS5s was us here on the Lukeness Monster channel, and it wasn't just me, it was you guys. We made this figure happen, and it's so nice to finally have him here in hand. And I gotta say, as much as I love this figure and I love his design, he does have some flaws, and because I love this figure so much, I am gonna be pretty strict on him. I am pretty nitpicky, and so we're gonna cover all of that here in this review. There is some blatant problems, though, that we do need to address. But again, I'll try not to get blinded by my nostalgia for the character as well as my love for this figure, and give it a pretty fair and honest review. So taking a closer look at all of the paint apps on this figure, I gotta say, he has a ton of paint apps, and most of them look really, really dang good. I think from the neck down, everything about this figure is perfect. It's got a lot of great details, and pretty much all the paint here is accurate. Like I said, from the neck down, it's really the helmet that comes the problem with the paint apps here, and that was exactly the same problem with the Jesse figure, but yeah, for the most part, it's a really dang good looking figure. Now, before I do get into the problems with the paint apps on the helmet, I do want to take a close look at this Tamora Morrison face here. Look how incredible this thing looks. I absolutely love how this turned out. I love the realistic Tamora Morrison face compared to like the D. Bradley Baker animated face. I think the way they reimagined him in that realistic form turned out great. I love the little 5 tattoo there. That turned out really good, as well as the goatee. And I gotta say, this figure really has zero signs of shiny face syndrome. I know some people, I've seen reviews saying that it did. No, this one has zero shiny face syndrome, and it looks incredible, and I cannot be happier with how the head sculpt and the face printing for this guy turned out. Anyway, moving on to articulation before I do get into the helmet. Looking at the arms here, they can go up into a T-pose. The soft rubber overlay here for the shoulder pad does go over the, like, I guess, inner part of the armor, and so he can get into that pose there. He can go all the way around as well. Now, this pauldron here does get in the way, but it's not too bad. The head is on a double ball joint, one at the top of the head and one at the bottom of the neck, so taking off the helmet there, tons of range of motion, which is really, really nice. Putting that back on, rangefinder is articulated, which is awesome. The elbows can get past 90, which is nice. He does have a swivel as well as a horizontal hinge on one wrist and a vertical hinge on the other. It would have been nice to get 2 vertical hinges considering that he is a dual wielding pistol character, but unfortunately that is not the case. I know in some of the newer 2023 clones they changed this to have 2 vertical hinges as well as 2 pointer fingers, but they don't have that on this figure, which is unfortunate. Now, as far as ab crunch goes, ton of motion there. He does have a ball joint at the abs. The legs can kick about that high. I know at that point the comma starts to get in the way, which is unfortunate, and you can't really get a ton back because of the comma as well. And of course, the out effects is affected by the comma too, but the knee still gets well past 90 at the knee, which is nice. It also does swivel. Ankles, swivel, as well as rocker as well. So overall, it's a great articulation, and it's something we've seen several times before because this is not a new mold. And now moving on to the biggest problem about this figure, and that is the helmet decal on the front. As you can see, it is just way undersized. It is a very tiny helmet decal, and it does not look right for this figure. Yeah, it's pretty blatant, and it's hard to miss. And another thing that's really frustrating is even on the box, the 3D render shows a much bigger helmet decal on this one, as well as the artwork here, which actually does show the Phase 2 helmet rather than the Phase 1 helmet. But every single version of this guy's helmet has this much bigger decal, but the actual figure itself has the smaller decal, so definitely some false advertising here with the plastic-free package, which is very frustrating, and one reason why plastic-free package really needed to go. But here's a photo of what the helmet decal did look like in Season 3 of the Clone Wars when he was an ARC Trooper, and as you can see, it's nowhere near the right size. This thing goes from like the end of the visor all the way to the other end of the visor, and this one it's just way too small. But they also just used the wrong design for this as well. They used the Phase 2 helmet design on the ARC Trooper helmet. And there are very subtle differences, but here's a side-by-side of the ARC Trooper helmet and the Phase 2 helmet. And as you can see, they're very subtle differences, but you can see that the ARC Trooper design has a little bit more of a wider, more overtaking presence on the helmet compared to the Phase 2 one. And they actually decided to go with the thinner Phase 2 design on the ARC Trooper helmet, and I just don't think it works for this helmet. But they also did take some more inspiration from that Phase 2 helmet as well, including the little side vents here, which ARC Trooper 5s doesn't have. He does not have these little side vents. Neither does Echo or Jesse. Only 5s has this on their figure form, and it's kind of a weird choice to include because it's not what shows up on the ARC Trooper figure. But I think you can really tell the difference here comparing it to the TVC figure, how this decal goes from visor to visor. This one barely even, stretches out farther than the fin. It's a huge disappointment, and they should not have let that go past the inspection phase, because it just is blatantly wrong. But another thing that the TVC version actually does right is the pauldron as well. The Black Series figure is just missing the black pauldron. He has a gray one and a black one here, which is accurate to the show. I'll throw up the photos right now. Every single photo of 5s in the show has a gray pauldron and a black pauldron, where they just completely forgot the black pauldron here for 5s. Don't know why they forgot it, but it's very frustrating, and I think, again, that's a pretty defining part of his character and his character design, so to forget the color of a pauldron, it's just really frustrating to see. Now, looking at the back of my 5's figure here, he does have a little bit of a misprint towards the back end of this. It's not a huge deal, and I'm not too upset about it. That's just kind of a quality control thing. It's not on every figure, it's just mine, so I'm not gonna bash Hasbro for a little bit of a misprint. But one thing that I am a little upset about is it's missing the gray helmet line here all the way around. The TVC figure didn't have that either, but the Black Series Echo figure did, and when you put them side by side, it is very easy to tell that it's missing this gray detail here, and it would have been really nice to include just for consistency. So my final conclusion for the helmet is that Hasbro looked at both reference images from the ARC Trooper version of 5s as well as the Phase 2 version of 5s, thought they were the same thing, and did a mishmatch of the two designs, and this is what it came out with, which is not too bad, but it's just not as good as it could be. I would have much preferred them include a ARC Trooper helmet and a Phase 2 helmet, or them just include the Phase 2 helmet if they wanted to do that design, so then it's actually accurate to the show, but unfortunately they kind of did a mishmash, and it's not quite how it should be. Anyway, first up for comparisons, we have the ARC Trooper trio. Obviously, we have Echo and Jesse next to Fives here, and they are looking incredible together. I really love how these three look together. Now, I'm a little upset that, of course, Jesse doesn't have the Phase 2 helmet, but regardless, these three still look incredible together. And it's really nice to finally have all three of them here together in the same space, finally. We've been asking for all these three for a very long time, and it's really nice to have them all together. And I did want to do a quick comparison here of the backs of the helmet. As you can see, Echo does have that gray on the helmet, and it looks incredible. It's something that Fives is really missing here. And of course, Jesse doesn't have it, but that is accurate to the show. The entire back of his helmet is that blue color. So I'm pretty happy with his paint job, but yeah, Fives is definitely missing that gray on the helmet. And then a comparison of the actual face sculpts here. They're looking very similar. Now, both Fives and Echo have that kind of same standard clone cut, and so they're very similar molds, but I do believe they are a little bit different here and there. And of course, Jesse's is different, being the bald clone. All three of them look great though, and I gotta say, I think out of these three, it's either between Jesse and Fives. I think Echo's is the worst overall just because of the shiny face syndrome, but both Jesse's and Fives' face sculpts are looking incredible. And just for grins and giggles, next up for comparisons, we do have some more ARC Troopers. On the left, we have my custom Luke Ness ARC Trooper made by Commander Cook. And on the right, we do have the Gaming Greats Umbra Operative ARC Trooper. And they're looking great next to Fives. I just love ARC Troopers. They're one of my favorite designs. And Fives is no exception. Next up for comparisons, we do have Clone Wars Anakin on the left and Captain Rex on the right. Fives is one of many of the named 501st that we need in the line, so it's really nice to be getting some more of those named 501st, but regardless, he's looking great next to Anakin and Captain Rex, and I just want to see those 501st keep coming out. And speaking of 501st Troopers that we still need, we do have the Veals Toy Store Customs of Jesse, Phase 2 on the left, as well as Hardcase on the right. If you've seen the Umbara arc, you know that these three go on some crazy adventures, and it's really nice to have all three of them here on the shelf together. Now, I do wish it was a Phase 2 Fives helmet, but regardless, they're looking great together, and like I said, this is the reason why we need some more of those 501sts. Next up, continuing with the theme of the Veals Toy Store Customs, we do have Commander Oppo on the left, and we have Kix on the right, looking incredible. Next up, as much as it pains me to say this, we have to compare him next to Commander Fox. If you don't know what I'm talking about, spoiler alert, the show's been out forever now, so it's not a spoiler, but Fox kills Fives in the show, so rip Fives, but we had to do a comparison here. And then of course we do have Obi-Wan in his Clone Wars gear on the right. Obviously they did interact in like the Citadel arc and a few others, so it's nice to have them on the shelf together. Next up we have him next to Clone Pilot Hawk, as well as one of the Gaming Greats 501st Jet Troopers, looking incredible. They really look incredible, that's all I can say. Then last but not least, we do have him next to the original 501st Trooper from the Order 66 4-pack, or the Archive one, whichever one you want to call it, on the left. And then we do have the 332nd Trooper on the right, looking incredible. And I just love to have Fives next to some of those 501st Troopers, so loving how these look. So overall, I'm still loving this figure. Despite all of its flaws, the helmet being the main flaw here, but as well as like the paint apps missing on the pauldron, I still love the figure. I am going to go ahead and deduct a point, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, just for those missing paint apps, as well as the like messed up helmet logo. As much as I want to give it a 5 out of 5, I'm going to have to give it a 4 out of 5, just to be fair with kind of how my scaling system works, and my grading system works here. But regardless of that, he's still my favorite figure of all time. I have so much blind nostalgia for this character, as well as the fact that we literally made this figure happen. And so he's still my favorite of all time. Is he the best figure of all time? Absolutely not, but he still has a special place in my heart and will forever be my favorite character in the Black Series. So if you guys did enjoy, make sure to go down, hit that like button, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video.